According to the latest U.S. Census, less than 1% of American households are headed by a same-sex couple. You heard that right. In other words, same-sex married couples consist of only technically 0.9%, 0.9 of American households. And yet, if you listen to the mainstream media, Hollywood, Democrats, public schools, corporations, sports leagues, government, big tech, and social media, the average person would think this country is overwhelmingly dominated by LGBTQ individuals and couples. Not so fast. I'm David Fiorazo, and this is Christ and Culture. Several years ago, I saw a man on the street interview, and most people that responded seemed to think between 20 and 40% of the entire population in the U.S. was gay. Seriously, now that spoke volumes about who and what is influencing the culture. Tragically, it's not the church, it's not Christians. Now, we are now at the point that we're seeing what's known as queer all year. It's not just June, Pride Month, which is the purposeful saturation of culture with all things LGBTQ. The truth is there were about 1.2 million same-sex households, same-sex couple households in the U.S. in 2021, according to the recently released Census Bureau data. That's all. The population of America, 330 million or something like that? We're talking about 1.2 million. One of the major change agents has been government, the home of most federal employees and politicians. The District of Columbia, not surprisingly, exceeded all states for the highest percentage of same-sex couple households, 2.5%. CNS News points out that though Washington, D.C. leads the way, none of the 50 states had a number of same-sex couple households that accounted for more than 1.4% of their total. That was Hawaii, by the way, 1.4. The average is under 1%. It's also interesting that roughly 710,000 of the same-sex couple households were married and about 500,000 were unmarried. Whoa, wait a minute. Why aren't the numbers, the homosexual marriage numbers, much, much higher? You know why. Because it was never about marriage to begin with. It was about rejecting God's design. It's about sex and special rights, not equal rights. Moreover, in the buildup to the Supreme Court striking down all state bans on same-sex marriage in 2015, Americans were told or promised they just wanted to love who they want to love. That's all they wanted. End of goal. It would end right there. Not so, as we've seen. For decades, the godless left has pushed the limits and found such a lack of resistance to the promotion of sin, perversion, and the marketing of evil that they have gained ground they never thought possible. Now, in its arsenal of weapons, words have been front and center. Accusations and labels of hate, homophobia, intolerance, fascism, and even racism have somehow been used as a battering ram to pummel and silence those who dare publicly to oppose the agenda. Now, few are allowed to disagree about or oppose LGBTQ ideology or refute propaganda presented as fact. Now, one would think those who believe in God and biblical values such as creation, two genders, the traditional family, and natural marriage between one man and one woman, you would think that we're outnumbered. Again, not even remotely the case. And yet, here we are. The radical left has been lustfully lobbying, pridefully parading, infecting legislation, and infringing on religious freedom, spreading its poison nationwide. The Washington Stand's Ben Johnson believes, quote, one of the most pervasive lies insists that Americans support same-sex marriage by ever increasing margins, end quote. He refers to the lifestyles of those in gay relationships and notes, by their own admission, that the average gay couple begins having sex with other people within an average of 5 to 6 years. Johnson adds, as decades of polls show, virtually all Americans do not respect any marriage or marriages built on a foundation of perpetual mutual adultery. Why not simply remain single? Indeed, 9 out of 10 Americans still find any single instance of adultery morally wrong. Legislation compelling American people to respect such marriages simply seeks to shut down opposition. Now, he's referring to the Respect for Marriage Act, which the Senate voted on this week, which would repeal and replace the Defense of Marriage Act and solidify same-sex unions. The Democrats' new bill does not protect religious liberties. Truly, we've been warned. LGBTQ activists want to force their morality upon the entire population, the majority, and destroy marriage, the most sacred and foundational institution in human history, without a debate. They will never stop working to force change. We need to know how to respond to this. It will be interesting to see what they do next. Don't be deceived, friends. God bless you, and keep speaking the truth about things that matter.